4.7 million years ago, Earth was a battlefield of survival. Imagine a world without cities, without technology, without even fire. Only endless wild lands filled with deadly predators waiting in the shadows. And in the middle of this dangerous world stood our ancestors, weak, fragile, and hopelessly outnumbered. Yet somehow they didn't just survive, they fought, they adapted, and they began the journey that would one day make humans the rulers of the planet. But how did they do it? This is the untold story of life 4.7 million years ago. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. The year is not 2025, not even 2000 BC, but 4.7 million years ago. The Earth is untamed, wild, and brutal. There are no cities, no cars, no Wi-Fi, no skyscrapers, and no farms. Instead, the world is filled with endless savannas, roaring forests, and mountains untouched by human hands. Strange creatures roam the land. Giant hyenas, saber-toothed cats, mastodons, and other predators that today we only read about in textbooks. Amid this dangerous world, our earliest ancestors, primitive humans, were not kings of the planet. In fact, they were among the most vulnerable. They had no claws to fight lions, no wings to escape eagles, no thick fur to protect against cold nights, and no shells to shield against predators. They were fragile, weak, and seemed destined to fail in this hostile environment. Yet somehow, against all odds, they endured. But how? The answer lies in one simple yet powerful truth. While prehistoric humans had weak bodies, they carried within them something more valuable than muscle or fangs: the human brain. It was not the strongest or the fastest that survived. It was the cleverest. This is where the story of human survival truly begins. For early humans, each day was a fight to see another sunrise. Imagine waking up under a tree with an empty stomach, your ribs poking through your skin because you hadn't eaten for days. The sound of distant predators echoes across the grasslands. You know that to eat, you must risk your life. There are no supermarkets or farms. Food comes only through courage, intelligence, and luck. The first humans lived much like prey, not hunters. They feared the shadows, listening for the growls of big cats or the sudden rush of a charging beast. They had no homes, only caves and trees for shelter. The nights were especially terrifying, when darkness swallowed the land and glowing eyes of predators surrounded them. Survival meant staying hidden, moving cautiously, and always being alert. Yet, despite their weakness, they were determined. Slowly, they discovered the power of tools. A sharp stone became a knife. A stick hardened in the fire became a spear. With every discovery, they grew braver. And step by step, they began to climb the ladder of survival. This was the dawn of human life, the fragile beginning of a journey that would one day shape the entire world. If the dawn of human life was about learning to exist, the next chapter was about fighting nature itself. Early humans lived in constant battle, not against other tribes or civilizations, but against hunger, thirst, and predators. Food was the biggest challenge. Hunting a wild animal was nearly impossible at first. Lions, hyenas, and leopards ruled the land, and humans were no match for them. So instead of hunting, humans began as scavengers. They would watch predators kill, then wait for hours, sometimes even days, until the beasts had eaten their fill. Only then, when danger was lower, would humans sneak in with sharp stones to cut whatever scraps of meat remained. It was risky, but it meant survival. Water was another struggle. Rivers were full of crocodiles, while lakes attracted predators waiting for prey. To drink, humans risked their lives. Sometimes they traveled miles across harsh lands, just to find a few drops. Imagine walking barefoot under the burning sun, thirsty and exhausted, with no guarantee that water even existed ahead. That was their reality. But even with these dangers, humans began adapting. They learned which plants were safe to eat and which were poisonous. They discovered that smashing nuts with rocks gave them food filled with energy. They figured out that throwing stones could scare away smaller predators. Each discovery, though small, increased their chances of survival. Over time, courage grew. They no longer waited only for scraps. Using teamwork, they began targeting smaller animals like rabbits or young deer. They set traps, used sticks as weapons, and slowly moved from scavengers to hunters. This was a huge leap. It meant food was no longer just luck, but something they could plan for. But survival wasn't just about food. Nature tested them in every way. Lightning storms, earthquakes, freezing nights, and burning hot days. Each disaster taught them new lessons. Fire from lightning showed them warmth. Floods forced them to move to higher lands. Harsh winters pushed them to seek shelter. Every challenge made them stronger, and every danger made them wiser. Bit by bit, humans were no longer just victims of nature. They were learning how to fight back. Then came one of the greatest discoveries in human history: fire. At first, humans feared it. They saw forests burn from lightning and animals flee in terror. Fire was powerful, destructive, and mysterious. But slowly, curiosity replaced fear. They touched the ashes, felt the warmth, and realized this strange force could help them. Imagine the moment a small group of humans gathered around a burning branch for the first time. For the first time in history, the darkness of night was pushed back. The fire provided warmth against the cold, light against the dark, and safety against predators. Lions and wolves feared flames. Suddenly, humans had power over the night. Cooking was another miracle. Before fire, chewing raw meat was painful, and digestion was difficult. With fire, food became softer, tastier, and healthier. It gave humans more energy, which fueled their brains, making them even smarter. Fire wasn't just survival, it was evolution. But fire did more than protect and feed. It created community. Around the fire, families gathered. They shared food, told stories, and built bonds. Elders taught children about dangers, safe places, and hunting tricks. For the first time, knowledge was passed not just by action, but by words and stories. The fire wasn't just heat, it was the heart of humanity. This discovery turned survival into something more. Humans were no longer just existing. They were beginning to control their world. Fire marked the true beginning of civilization. As humans mastered fire, they learned another secret to survival: teamwork. Alone, one human was weak. A lion could kill him. A flood could drown him. Hunger could starve him. But together, humans became unstoppable. Small groups, or tribes, began to form. Within these tribes, everyone had a role. The strongest hunted. The quick and clever scouted for danger. The skilled made tools. Mothers cared for children, and elders shared wisdom. This cooperation meant survival. Together, they could take down animals too dangerous for one person. Together, they could defend themselves from predators. Together, they could build shelters, find water, and explore new lands. Communication also improved. At first, it was simple gestures, grunts, and sounds. But slowly, a system of communication developed. Humans began to share ideas, warn of danger, and teach skills. This was the beginning of language. With language, humans unlocked something incredible: the ability to pass knowledge through generations. Each child didn't have to discover survival from the beginning. They learned from parents and elders, making each generation stronger than the last. Unity also brought emotions: love, care, and protection. Humans didn't just survive for themselves. They survived for their families and tribes. This emotional bond gave them strength even in the darkest times. Teamwork and communication turned fragile humans into the most adaptable species on Earth. By 4.7 million years ago, humans had laid the foundation for everything we know today. From scavengers, they had become hunters. From wanderers, they had become builders of shelters. From frightened individuals, they had become tribes with courage and unity. Their struggles were unimaginable. Each sunrise brought uncertainty. Would there be food today? Would predators attack? Would storms destroy everything? Yet, through courage and intelligence, they survived. The lessons they left behind still guide us today. They taught us to be brave in the face of fear, to adapt when life changes, and to never give up no matter how hard things get. Think about it. If those early humans had given up, none of us would exist today. Our homes, our technology, our world, all of it stands on their shoulders. They survived with nothing but stone tools, fire, and each other. And because they did, we are alive today. Their story is not just history, it's a reminder. Every time you feel life is too hard, remember. Your ancestors once faced lions with only a stick, crossed deserts with bare feet, and braved nights with only fire for comfort. And still they endured. That is the true legacy of prehistoric humans. The power to survive, to adapt, and to keep moving forward. And that, my friends, is the incredible journey of our ancestors. Fragile beings who once lived in constant fear of predators, hunger, and the forces of nature, yet refused to give up. They discovered tools, mastered fire, learned to live together, and step by step carved a path of survival that still shapes us today. The next time you light a fire, eat a cooked meal, or sit safely in your home, remember, you carry the blood of survivors who endured the impossible. Their courage is your inheritance. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more epic survival stories, and share it with someone who loves history as much as you do. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and never forget where we came from.